Live from the campus of Penn State University, this is PSN News. It's Wednesday, November 29th. We have all you need to know about salary increases at Penn State and infrastructure changes coming to State College.
We also have more on a recent shooting in Vermont, along with entertainment, sports, and weather. Stay tuned.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Brendan Conroy.
And I'm Olivia Jean.
A new salary increase plan is in place for those staffed at Penn State. The action comes from the Pennsylvania legislature and will begin a general increase in salary starting on January 1st, 2024. Although delayed at first, this plan was started by the Board of Trustees back in July, and more information is to come soon.
Local nonprofit Center Volunteers in Medicine recently announced a new partnership with fellow nonprofit PA Pink Zone. Center Volunteers works to provide free health care to uninsured Center County residents. PA Pink Zone fights against breast cancer by mobilizing resources to improve lives in the community. The nonprofits will collaborate to increase awareness of early breast cancer detection. During this partnership, both organizations aim to impact the betterment of men and women in central Pennsylvania.
An investment plan is now in place for public parks in Pennsylvania. This plan was implemented after local resident Anthony David Jr. voiced his thoughts and concerns of not knowing where public land ends and where private land begins. He expressed how this could be a major problem for people of diverse groups or backgrounds. To change that, David Jr. brought this to the attention of the Commonwealth, who had already spent over $52 million in funding for that fall. As a result, the Commonwealth looks to take action to bring in more diverse groups and to preserve the land they walk on.
A research team led by a Penn State ecologist has received $1 million grant from NASA. The grant will assist in the process of growing and strengthening more trees across the eastern United States. The satellites will help make decisions on seeding and planting while coping with the migration of tree species, habitat, and wildlife management. Assistant professor in the Penn State Department of Ecosystem Science and Management, Tong Q, will lead the project. Snow has finally landed in State College this week, and students are making their last few trips to class before finals week. Our student meteorologist Luke Snyder with Campus Weather Service has the latest details on what conditions we can expect to see. Take a look.
From the students of the Department of Meteorology and Atmospheric Science, here is your Penn State Campus Weather Service forecast.
Good evening, I'm student meteorologist Luke Snyder here for your Wednesday evening forecast. Taking a live look at Beaver Stadium, you can see we have some pretty cloudy and overcast conditions right now. That's been the trend for much of the day. We've had a bit of a mix of sun and clouds coming through the area, so some sun, some more clouds. But as of right now, relatively overcast. We're sitting at around 28 degrees with a feels like of 22, dew point at 10 degrees and some great visibility with some slight winds causing those temperatures to be feeling a little bit chillier than they actually are. Looking at high temperatures from average, you can see State College again at 28 degrees, and much of the Commonwealth is going to be experiencing these upper 20s, low 30s, sitting right around that freezing mark for their current temperatures. So you can see the entire state is well below average for their temperatures right now. You can see State College is about 15 degrees below average. Over here in Franklin, we're nearly 20 degrees below average for this time of year, so definitely a lot chillier than we typically see. Speaking of that wind that I mentioned earlier, you can see we have very gusty conditions, especially to the west of the Appalachian Mountains. You can see we have upwards of 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts occurring right now. And that's going to continue through the rest of the day as well into tomorrow, with tomorrow Erie reaching nearly 40 miles per hour for your wind gusts. So it's going to be very gusty, very chilly tomorrow. So again, these cold temperatures are going to be feeling a lot more frigid and severe than they actually are due to these high winds causing it to be a lot more chilly than it really is. Looking at some future radar, you can see we have a little bit of snow moving through the area in the more northern portion of the state, and that's going to pass through. And then overnight into tomorrow morning, you can see we have not much going on precipitation-wise, just a few passing clouds, just a few scattered showers over here by Williamsport tomorrow evening. But that's going to be right ahead of this cold front coming through the area. That's going to be associated with this huge precipitation system. It's coming through some scattered showers to start off with it early Friday morning. And to take a wider look, you can see this is a very prominent system moving through the area. It's going to pass through much of Friday, and it's really not going to be leaving the area until late Friday evening. And then even then, we still have some lingering showers later on for much of Saturday morning and afternoon. We have a few of those scattered showers, not as strong as we're going to be seeing on Friday. And those are going to continue through. And then by Saturday evening into Sunday morning, relatively clear precipitation-wise, just some cloudy skies. But then Sunday afternoon, we have a second wave of precipitation coming through the area. And that's going to be moving through Pennsylvania as well. And then overnight into Monday, you can see we have a little bit more of these chillier conditions, causing some mixed slush and some snow. So maybe getting a little bit more of different types of precipitation later on to start the new work week. And looking at later tonight, you can see we're going to be reaching a low of 27 degrees with some clearing skies. So those clouds are expected to be leaving way later on this evening, with some winds staying relatively calm at around 6 to 8 miles per hour. And then for tomorrow, reaching a high of 47 degrees, so temperatures will be much warmer than they are today, with mostly sunny skies and winds picking up just slightly for 6 to 10 miles per hour. And then your 7-day forecast, you can see those temperatures are going to be starting to stabilize just a little bit into tomorrow, sitting in the mid to upper 40s for your high, with that rain coming through Friday. Clear skies for Saturday and Sunday precipitation-wise, and then those scattered showers moving in again Monday and Tuesday. From the Penn State Campus Weather Service, I'm Luke Snyder. Have a great night.
Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Ashley Mascara with your sports update. The Penn State women's basketball team defeated Providence 73-66 this past Sunday in the Bryce Jordan Center. Sophomore guard Shea Chesky led the Lady Lions in scoring for the third straight game, scoring 17 points. Graduate forward Chania Pinto set a record career high in scoring with 14 points and her third three-pointer of the year. Senior plus guard McKenna Marisa added 13 points for the Lady Lions, reaching double digits in points scored for the 7th game in a row. Penn State looks to improve to a 7-1 record against Radford Highlanders on Wednesday for a 6 p.m. tip-off in the BJC. Penn State men's hockey swept the series with Lindenwood with a 7-1 victory Saturday night in Pagula Ice Arena. Senior Tyler Paquette opened the scoring for the Nittany Lions, putting them up 1-0 15 minutes into the first period before Lindenwood tallied their lone point a minute later. The Nittany Lions scored 4 goals in the second period to put them up 5-1 and added 2 more in the third period. The boys will host Minnesota on Friday at Pagula Ice Arena. Puck drop will be at 7 p.m. And Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow underwent successful surgery on his right wrist Monday. He was lost for the season after suffering a torn ligament in his wrist in the November 16th game against the Baltimore Ravens. However, the National Football League is still investigating on why Burrow was not placed on the injury report list ahead of this game. Photos posted on social media revealed Burrow with an apparatus on his wrist prior to the game, but he stated that it was to reduce swelling during the flights. The Bengals submitted hours of footage proving this injury began during the game, and the NFL has declined to comment on the status of the investigation. That's all for your sports update. After the break, Camila Vega has the latest in the world of entertainment. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Camila Vega with your entertainment update. Yesterday was no regular Tuesday night in Happy Valley as the Driver Era had an electric performance last night at Alumni Hall. The concert was free to students, organized by the Student Programming Association. Brothers Rocky and Ross Lynch gave Penn State students a night to remember, performing their best-known single, Only Wanna Dance. The former Austin and Ally star, Ross Lynch, performed a series of original songs and covers, including his 2013 Disney Channel hit, On My Own. One of the most popular races in Happy Valley is back for another year. The Nittany Valley Half Marathon is taking place this Sunday, December 3rd at 10 a.m. Runners will complete a 13.1-mile course that begins and ends on Penn State's campus. Runners will race through the countryside, Spring Creek, and other locations in a maximum of 4 hours. The half marathon first took place in 1984 and has since evolved into one of State College's most popular running activities. While registration is closed, you can still sign up to volunteer at NittanyValleyHalfMarathon.com. A-list stars came together last night for the world premiere of Wonka, directed by Paul King and starring Timothée Chalamet. The world premiere took place at the Royal Festival Hall in London. Chalamet was joined by the stars of the film, Colin Lane, Olivia Colman, Hugh Grant, and others to watch the film. The film is a prequel story to the classic Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Wonka is set to open in theaters and in IMAX internationally beginning December 6th and in North America on December 15th. That's all for your entertainment update. Coming up next, interview anchor Nolan Collery will be speaking to Caroline Marinas, a member of A Touch of Blue. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to PSN News. I'm Nolan Collery, and with me tonight is Caroline Marinas, a member of A Touch of Blue. Caroline, thank you so much for being with me tonight. So, unlike a lot of the organizations at Penn State where the name makes it very apparent what you guys do, that's not the case with A Touch of Blue. So can you explain to people who might not know, what is A Touch of Blue?
So The Touch of Blue is the majorette line here at Penn State. If you don't know what that is, we're baton twirlers. You'll find us on the field at game day, during pregame, halftime, cheering in the stands, all that fun stuff.
Awesome. So how long have you yourself been twirling, and kind of where did you get your start in the activity?
I started when I was 7. I started taking some classes and then joined the competitive team at my studio. And then from there, I started competing individually as well. And now I'm here.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm curious, to actually become a member of the line itself, what is the audition process like? How does that go? How do you go from just learning about it to becoming an actual member of the line?
So ever since COVID, auditions have been virtual.
Okay.
They happen in the spring, and basically you fill out an interest form and you'll get an email with a music file. It's about 2 minutes long, and a list of tricks and a deadline. And you have to come up with a routine with all the tricks in it, film it, submit it. And then if you get picked to move on to round 2, that's over the summer in person. And you just learn, that's where you learn like pregame and stuff.
Sure.
And they make final cuts.
So it's not a preset routine. It's more so you have the list and then you choreograph your own routine.
Yep, we have to make up our own routines. For
Interesting. No, that's super interesting. My sister does. We talked about this a little bit when I had my sister does. So I've been a little versed in the world. I know some of the lingo. So how long have you been on the line yourself?
I've been on the line since my freshman year, so this is my 3rd season with the major.
Awesome. What I'm curious, obviously, people who, if you're not aware, the Blue Band and Touch of Blue and the Silk Line, they have a different routine every single week during the football season, which I can only imagine is a little bit difficult. What is the learning process to the practice of the routine to actually going out on Saturdays? What's that from, like, as soon as you're done on Saturday to the next week, what does your week look like?
So on every week, we have practice 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. And Thursdays are typically our day off unless we have a 1-week show, which is when there's 2 home games back to back, because like you said, we do a different show every week. So we'll practice on Thursday if we need it. We come up with our own routines ourselves, so it's kind of a collaborative process up until about Wednesday or Friday till we're actually doing it with the band. And then Saturday morning, we also practice before the games, before we get ready and stuff. So it's very much an everyday thing, other than Sunday pretty much.
Okay. So I'm curious now, obviously, that's a huge time commitment, and you're also a student here. You're involved in other things on campus. You have a social life. How do you balance all of it? Because it's a big time commitment. So I'm just curious, what's the work-life balance like?
It's very difficult. It is very time consuming pretty much, especially in the fall. My whole life revolves around being a majorette. I know a lot of us try to schedule our classes so that some of our harder classes are in the spring. It's not possible for everyone. Unfortunately, it's not possible for me, but some people do that. It's just a lot of time management, really planning out when you're going to do what. Yeah. It helps that all my teammates are my best friends, so that kind of takes care of the social aspect of it.
Sure. So that kind of leads me to my next question. Obviously, when you guys are being seen is during football season. Is there anything else you're doing in your off seasons outside of just preparation for audition? Is there any other events that you guys appear at?
Yeah, so we've been doing pre-Thon events, and we'll perform at Thon weekend.
Wow.
And every year, typically, we go to nationals over the summer, a national baton competition.
Okay.
We didn't get to go last year, but the last time we went, we won. So hopefully we'll get to go back this year. That's the plan.
Yeah, big shoes to fill. I mean, you gotta come back for it.
Exactly.
So I'm curious. Like you said, you've been on the line for 3 years. Do you have a personal favorite memory from all 3 years as a member on the line? Is there any like one moment or a couple moments is perfectly fine too that just stick out to you?
I think in terms of memories, there are two big ones that stick out. One for sure has to be the Rose Bowl last year. Everything about it was just such a cool atmosphere. I personally have never been to the West Coast, so just seeing California was really cool. The stands, like the whole crowd was awesome. And of course winning puts a cherry on top of everything. Right. That's also good. My other favorite memory would have to be my very first game. I come from a huge Penn State family. And I just remember getting ready for the first game. I put my uniform on for the first time, and all I wanted to do was go out and see my parents, my aunts and uncles and grandparents that had all come to see me. It was just such a cool feeling. And of course, performing for the first time at Beaver Stadium is something I'll never forget as well. Yeah, no, like I said, my sister does this, and we are also a huge, like one of those Penn State cult families. Oh, yeah. So she's going to freak out when she finds out about this. Haven't told her. It's on the down low. Hi, Brenna. I hope you're watching. This is kind of a two-part question. I want to know from this season and then from all the routines you've done, what's your favorite routine that you guys had this season? And then if there's one all-time that's your favorite that you guys have performed. This season, I would have to go with, I think it was our first show. It was the Summer Tours one with Taylor Swift and Beyonce. I'm a big Swiftie, so obviously I like that part of the show. And then the one Beyonce song we did was Love on Top, and our routine to that was just really fun. That was probably one of my favorites. Okay. Of all time, one show that sticks out to me, I don't know if it was my favorite, but it definitely sticks out. Last year we did a Latin show, and the one song from it, I forget what it's called, but that was kind of the first time we had all choreographed a routine together since we didn't have a coach last season. So that was kind of our first collaborative routine. So it's all very memorable and special to all of us.
That's an interesting, just a point that you brought up. You didn't have a coach last season. How has life on the line changed now? Obviously, before you mentioned, like you said, there no coach before, you were making your own routine to now where there is someone kind of at the head of it organizing. What's the difference like there?
This year we're definitely taking it as kind of an adaptive year, a transition year. We're still writing all of our own routines because that's what worked for us well last year. That's what we like doing. But it's very nice to have a coach this year, kind of making sure we all know what we're doing, taking care of all the things like our uniforms, our equipment, everything like that. So we're taking it as kind of a transition year. Awesome.
So last question for you. What's your plans for the future in twirling? If you want to, obviously you still have a season left. If you have any plans post-college, what is it looking like for you?
Twirling is such a small sport that there's not really anything to do past the collegiate level other than coaching. For right now, that's not in my future, but maybe someday. But after the next season, I'm all done, all washed up.
I'm sure you are not washed up, but hey, thank you so much for coming in to talk to me today. Everyone was super excited to have you on. It was a great interview, 100%.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, stick around because coming up, Brendan and Olivia will have the latest news from across the nation.
A 48-year-old man was arrested in Vermont this weekend following the shooting of 3 college students of Palestinian descent. The suspect, Jason J. Eaton, was detained on Sunday near where the shooting took place. The FBI is now involved in the case and is looking at it as a potential hate motive. At the time of the attack, the students were walking home to a relative's for a holiday weekend meal. All 3 students are now in medical care and are expected to recover soon.
The famous and highly watched Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade was temporarily halted when a group of about 30 pro-Palestinian protesters ran into the street and refused to remove themselves from the parade's route. Online videos show the protesters demonstrating on 6th Avenue near 34th Street, chanting "Free Palestine" and holding up Palestinian flags. President Biden and the First Lady urged Americans to come together on Thanksgiving and give thanks to the country we call home. Officials say the protesters were taken into custody.
Roughly a dozen Democrats are pressing the IRS after a number of high investors in Puerto Rico seem to avoid major taxation. An estimated $2.2 billion has been lost in revenue due to tax exemption since Act 22 in 2017. The cost of housing and living continues to rise for Puerto Ricans. Due to this, and the people affected are asking that the priorities. The IRS is now looking at some of the tax exemption cases as criminal activity.
With the end of the Thanksgiving break returns the discussions over the United States aid. Lawmakers will debate approving aid to Israel and Ukraine with a deep uncertainty underscoring the path forward. Under the official calendar, the House has less than 2 weeks left of this year, making this a time-sensitive issue. Between the Democratic division on Israel and the Republican fracture over Ukraine funding, both parties are in constant fight mode and seem to not agree on any aid packages. That concludes our show tonight at PSN News.
Be sure to check us out on Twitter and Facebook at PSN News, on Instagram at Penn State Network News, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/PSN News.
Have a good night and stay safe, Penn State.